Chapter 14, A Mystery Revealed. This is a big chapter both narratively and gameplay wise. This Ice Dragon's temple is where Henri obtained falchion 100 years prior and is home to Tiki, currently in a medically induced coma to prevent her inevitable degeneration. To help her, Marth needs the binding shield, which can only be formed when all 5 gemstones are obtained. In other words, if you missed any star shards, Tiki is doomed to eternal rest in this temple. This map is really difficult as it begins with your army being chased down by 18 aggressive enemies. If the combination of dark mages and ice dragons haven't headshot your entire team yet, there's still the thieves to contend with, who are a little more bloodthirsty than usual and will attack player units instead of running to the escape tile like normal. A usual strategy of charging in with my most powerful units will result in catastrophic losses. On the outside we have more dragons and a thief that ordinarily in a lower difficulty carries a warp staff, but thanks to recent regulatory laws passed in Arcania, carrying warp is punishable by death, so he swapped it for a fortify. To prepare, Sirius reprises his role as Dragon Slayer Swordmaster Sirius, but this time he's also joined by Luke. Luke is significantly stronger than Sirius, so he doesn't need help boosting his strength. But Sirius is just shy of 1-rounding dragons, even with a Rainbow Tonic boost and the Leo Shard. So instead I forge +1 might onto the Wormslayer. I name his new weapon after his one true love for additional power. When the map starts, Zane finally joins the team. Yes, let's go, best unit. To begin, I send all of my units to the left to wipe out the enemies outside and collect the fortify. Next, I place Katria in a very particular position to manipulate the enemies to fall for my trap. The enemies indoors will become aggressive if at least 2 enemy units can attack a player unit. Meaning, if Katria is placed here, she is technically in range of 3 enemies, but only 1 can attack her at a time. Meanwhile, everyone else either runs outside or funnels into this choke point. It turns out enemies don't consider each other when determining which path to take, which I abuse to the maximum. I spend turns moving Katria in and out of their range to push and pull the enemies, stalling them within this choke point. This buys time for my units to mop up those foolish enough to charge outside. Sirius, Sida, and Pala reward 3 dragons for their hubris with the sweet release of death. It's a huge load off my shoulders that 6 dark mages are locked in this choke point. The combined qualities of 1 to 2 range and hitting on resistance is a bit too much to deal with. The next challengers are the thieves. As I alluded to earlier, they're not to be messed with. These guys can and will kill you if given the opportunity. I stall some more to further lure them out before I order the thief genocide attack. Sida is fast enough to naturally double thieves, so she starts us off with a kill, followed up by Lind. Luke, Chris, and Sirius need Scorpio to double, so they trade it between each other to score 3 more kills. Lastly, Katria kills 1 more Ice Dragon. Now the only aggressive enemies that remain are the ones I've toyed with in this corridor, so I move Katria away and spend some turns outside waiting for their arrival. Once they finish their march, Sirius, Sida, Luke, Katria, and Marth put them in the dirt to complete my decisive victory. Before visiting Goto, I thought it'd be a good idea to clean up the remaining visible enemies, as I thought when I triggered the story event, they'd become aggressive. Marth hits level 19, and I guess thanks to Goto's influence, he's learned how to get a good level up. Speaking of which, the 2 meet at last, and I earn the Light Sphere, which when held negates terrain bonuses, which is kind of useful against some bosses, and also negates the effects of the Dark Sphere, which is kind of useful against one boss in particular. As a reward for collecting all 12 shards, I also get the Star Sphere, which combines all the shards in one to give +2 to every stat when held. Speaking with Goto unlocks the remaining 2 chambers and spawns some reinforcements, so we're not done yet. The final wave is no joke. This time most of the enemies are the bulky dragons, so I need all the good combat units to participate here. Once that's over with, I collect Tiki, who does super effective damage against dragons, the last of which I've just finished killing. So Tiki is useless. I get the very important new staff, which is essentially an infinite range dance. In the original, it was horrifically overpowered because it would refresh every unit on the map, not just one, like in this game. After that, I seize. Now that we've collected the Light Sphere, Harden has become a surmountable threat, so Goto, in a flagrant abuse of power, breaks Arcanean law by using illegal warp magic to transport everybody back to Altea.